contain this Black Feather that will be coming out from NEBULAE, and we do see that Fox and Arden being picked up by the side of Infamous.
Yep, so it looks like they were used very wisely to think about their picks, picking up that Fox and Arden, but now there's the question of who is going to be weapon power and who's going to be CP, or will they try to do a double weapon power comp again like they did against GRAND Esports? I mean, we know that we haven't seen CP Glaive in a long time, so would it be the CP box more likely?
I mean, we did see CP Glaive coming out for the side of Infamous in the previous week, if I remember correctly, with that utility Glaive, constant afterburn, spell sword. I think it was aftershock, spell sword or something, and there was afterburn was up every 5 seconds. Chingy was just so difficult to take down because of the mobility provided by that afterburn. We might see something very similar today, but I'm quite surprised as to the Taka pickup and not, say, a Celeste. I mean, for a weapon Taka, he becomes very much like a bruiser of sorts, just relying on a basic attack on your Kaiten and Kaku, and of course your Edgeretsu to just move around and move in between enemies. So very different in terms of playstyle. One is very burst heavy, one is just you just want to stay in the team fight for a very, very long time.
Yep, and we'll have to see now. I mean, it Taco double weapon blade pickup, but you can never be too sure. Of course, Truffy's who's going to be up in lane, taking that Book of Eulogies and light armor. It looks like a standard CP Black Feather start if you're going for CP Black Feather in lane, but I'm just not sure if that's going to work out enough. So it could always be the switch over for Truffy's to, from there, continue on building weapon power, and Iron View died to sell those weapon blades and just using them more so for the first clear, because Taka has quite a slow clear at the start, so it's understandable that you'd go for the double weapon blades even if you're going for the CP build.
But even going for double weapon blade, usually you want to fully utilize that double weapon blade, because all in all, if you do not fully utilize it, it becomes very uneconomical throughout, although SNK playing very aggressive against this Black Feather that's in lane. And I must agree with you, right? Double weapon blade, it allows you to farm faster, put out more damage if you are going to go up with for a gank. But all in all, it will be very uneconomical. You have to sell double weapon blade, and at the end of the day, it's just not worth it. Rather than you go one weapon blade into one Oak Heart, granted you clear a little slower, but all in all, that Oak Heart will turn into Storm Crown, and you just will be only selling one weapon blade rather than both weapon blade.
Yeah, so we will have to see, as they've gone to buy already twice, and they've been pick up the Oak Heart and light armor for themselves. Meanwhile, Truffy's has yet to go back to basing on 1.5k. Might do so soon, but it's just getting pushed back from the enemy right now. As we see Iron Ryu die getting caught backline by Chingy, who gets them with the afterburn, and they are going to try chase them down, and it looks like they're going to be caught out of the Kaku. There's going to be the polite company to keep them alive, and Iron Ryu die. Maybe not the right decision to look for more fighting at this point. They do have the Kaku available to them in a few seconds, should be able to use it, but we're going into a pause for whatever reason.
Yep, for the players to probably sort out their connectivity issue, if not then any technicalities that they need ironing out. 2 minutes pause per team, per game. We have a total of 4 minutes. All in all, I guess the aggression coming out from Iron Gyudai is probably to compensate for the 2 early weapon blades that he got, and we saw as well that he can put out relatively a lot of damage, but Chingy just outburst him with double weapon blade as well. That's part of Chingy's kit, and on top of that as well, the afterburn can just put Iron Wheel down on that Taka out of position if Taka is unable to kiten across the stun and the punt that a glaive can put out.
Yep, and it's interesting looking at the build now that he's actually working with those double swift shooters, and that's more so to just focus on farm rather than early game damage, which is a good tactic because it shows how much more you're thinking towards the late game. But even just thinking towards the mid, you gain yourself ahead that much more early on. As you can see, Spaghetti seeing a 27 farm over to the 21 that Truffy's has, so it's definitely paying off for them. That little bit of gold is going to help them just that much more as Spaghetti at 1,870 and Truffy still back just about 150 behind with the 1,695 gold. And we are back into the game. The pause is over and we'll have to see how it goes as Chingy making an instant rotation up the lane to take Truffy's down with the afterburn, and they get themselves the first blood. Infamous taking that away from the side of NEBULAE. Very aggressive right there, and we saw Spaghetti did have the full broken heart stacks on him, so it was kind of dangerous for him to stick around there any longer, and lGRAND-FINALS not be able to catch Spaghetti out because SNK is there with the Vanguard to keep him safe.
Yep, and Spaghetti, more often than not, we do see Spaghetti with the double Swifty pickup in that of the early game. But when Chingy goes up, actually when Chingy went up for that gank against Truffy's, we did see lGRAND-FINALS and Delphi on that Finn went into the jungle of Infamous and picked up that, picked up the mid treant off the side of Infamous. So all in all, I guess it is worth it individually, although Chingy did get that 300 gold bonus from the first blood, but all in all, I don't think it will be much trouble for NEBULAE if they constantly just stay farmed up and play for the late game, in which they are of very good caliber. I mean, their heroes itself just work so well in that of late game.
Yep, and we will see that they are putting a lot of rotation down. Might spot lGRAND-FINALS out, and they do manage to get into a fight, but it's in favor of lGRAND-FINALS as Chingy fairly low, already using that afterburn, now doesn't have a way to get out, but SNK is there to help them, and I think lGRAND-FINALS able to secure that mid camp. Needs to be careful, caught between them all and Crystal Sentry there, and now Spaghetti making the rotation down. Just not very good positioning after taking that mid camp. Should have definitely ran away. They had Kaku available and instead are going to pay with their life.
Yep, they will, but it seems like lGRAND-FINALS may be in for some connectivity issue, as we saw here, as we are seeing here. He just stood at a standstill in that particular team fight, or rather, not team fight, but in that particular call out. Is that a word? And we are in 12-second pause. As usual, it will be to allow maybe lGRAND-FINALS in this case to sort out any connectivity issue that he is facing.
Yep, and with that, same as last time, 2-minute was with you that right after that, Spaghetti actually able to pick up the kill onto Truffy, so really doing a good job in this lane, staying at 53 farm over the 46 of Truffy's, and is probably going to be able to get a bit more now that Truffy's has to go all the way back from base up to the lane. But for now, it looks like Delphi is holding the lane steady. There won't be any early turrets being taken over, but Infamous so far looking quite strong. I mean, they've got 3 kills over to 0 on the side of NEBULAE, and they've got a slight gold advantage, sitting at 11.5k over to the 9.4, which to be at a 2k advantage in this point of the game is quite massive for the side of Infamous.
I mean, 2k, 4 minutes in or 5 minutes in, definitely looking very good for the side of Infamous. Infamous as well, going into the jungle, or that's the mid jungle of the side of NEBULAE to take away some farm. And Infamous usually the very aggressive team, and it does quite help with Delphi on this Finn as well. Spaghetti once again going very aggressive.
Yep, and no reason for them not to that easy back the side of NEBULAE with that resonance damage, and Chingy now making turret, holding onto that afterburn, whether they want to use it offensively or as an escape mechanic, as we see they're able to get out. There's going to be the minion candies popped for the side of Infamous, but I'm not sure about that, as they're not really pushing in after it, more so just to buy Spaghetti and Chingy some more time as they go to the backs.
Yep, and one thing's for sure, it's that, with an Finn in your team, usually you want to just play really passive till your Finn gets at level 6, level 8 for the engagement with the first chord. If not, then your stun coming up from your Quibble as well. That is one thing maybe the players are keeping in mind from the side of NEBULAE as to why they do not want to play as aggressive, because we do see Truffy's now having that Serpent's Mask. Oh, Spaghetti.
Oh, it looks like Spaghetti going to dive on to the lane after picking up that Spow Sword. So it looks like what are we seeing? I am actually confused here now that I look at the builds, but we'll take a second to look at those afterwards once this fight is over, whether Infamous decide to back out from it now or continue the aggression that they are able to put down. SNK going fairly low, however, it looks like Infamous just going to back out of this one. And I am very confused about the build on I Angry You Die.
Okay, so for Spell Sword, there are players that actually do build that Spell Sword in, you know, to replace that of Storm Crown. Firstly, the passive for Spell Sword as well. Whenever you attack an enemy hero, you gain back 9 energy. You get extra cooldown, you get extra energy on top of that. So I guess all in all, it works very well, relatively well with Tarka's kit. As you can tell, I Angry You Die will not be, you know, using, or rather, not making full use of the double weapon blade that he gets, but a fight will be happening in lane.
Yep, and it looks like SNK is the target of back out of the fight for now, trying to get some more damage onto SNK, but it's really worth. Chingy and Spaghetti still around, and we do see I Angry You Die back up in lane. Not sure about that use of Kaku, a bit interesting there. Maybe they still are having some connectivity issues as they dive in. Chingy used the afterburn but not able to catch them out, and now we see Taka just trying to stay alive on the backline but gets taken up. A double kill coming through for Glaive. The triple kill. Chingy gets the ace, and just this is why, man, about Glaive with just a Sorrow Blade. Of course, there's the Swift Shooter and the Minion's Foot, but basically the basic item on that Sorrow Blade is just such a power spike for the Glaive, and you can see it here as they manage to get the double kill with turret and even push that wave in, and they're going to get the gold mine off the back of this.
Yep, they will definitely get the gold mine, and I must say, although rather innovative, taking the initiation to actually go for that, you know, Spell Sword rather than a Storm Crown, but all in all, I personally think that your Spell Sword shouldn't come at all, because in all honesty, in Southeast Asia, in this particular patch itself, in 2.8, what we are seeing is actually an emergence of a Shattered Glass into Clockwork Tarka. Granted, in your early game, you are farming relatively slowly, and thus your laner constantly goes into your jungle to help you, farm and just get your items fast. But with the Shattered Glass and your Clockwork, you can just do immense amount of damage, and much more than your current build of the Storm Crown, and of course, if not, then your Spell Sword as well. So all in all, I guess that build does work for Tarka, but in the Vainglory 8 so far, we are not seeing that come out whatsoever. With that build, I'm pretty sure that, you know, I Angry You Die can easily go into the team fight, but Spaghetti down. I mean, Spaghetti at this point in time only has got a reflex block, no shield, no armor whatsoever.
Yep, and it looks like Taka gonna jump in once. Spaghetti very low but taken down in return. SNK going in with that gauntlet, and you can see Spaghetti still trying to position themselves in the fight to be of use to the team of Infamous, but they really are looking for the second turret now. They need to be careful because Truffy's is on Spaghetti and he's trying to get something out of it, but he has to go through Chingy first, and Chingy going to be able to stop him picking up a kill and might even be able to pick up a turret here. It looks like they will. Taka rejoining the fight, but nothing they can do. The Resonance Bouncers catching them out of the Kaku, and it looks like they're going to be able to take down Doubtfire, and they're looking for the anchor turret already in this one push. Infamous so aggressive right now, and that afterburn onto Angry You Die, very impressive. He manages to get out just barely with the Kaku, but there isn't anything Truffy's can do on his own to push away Infamous. They're going to go back, and I wouldn't really go so deep in against Infamous if I was Truffy's. He needs to be careful, uses the Rose offensive. He is trying to chase them down, and he has Taka behind you, but Infamous still looking very scary at this point as we see Spaghetti dancing around Truffy's gang. Those stacks, has 5 breaking point stacks. It's going to drop off, however, but he manages to come around and clean up the kill onto the Taka. And now they're 10-0 at 10 minutes 53 in. They've got perfect kills at this point, and they're almost hitting that 10k gold lead at 10 minutes in. It would just be 10s around the board, but sadly, we do see the 11 minutes click over, and they are only seeing at 28.7. Slightly, I always say this, slightly behind the 19.8, but it's actually me looking at them getting to that 10k gold lead.
Yeah. Boo! Boo, 11 minutes, you destroyed the 10 and 10, but all in all, very well played coming up from Infamous, knowing really when to just put down pressure and be assertive in terms of their movements and maneuvers as well. We do see Spaghetti though still going for the very glass cannony build, having got that tornado trigger and a salvo in a pocket, probably into 2 tornado triggers. That way Spaghetti's just going for max crit build. But he needs time to rev up in the matches, in the team fights itself. So it's just down to Chingy to put out as much damage as possible in the initial start for Spaghetti to just rev up. When Spaghetti gets the damage, gets the items, or rather gets his stacks, breaking point stacks, and Spaghetti will just be able to just clean up and clear up the entirety of NEBULAE. And although it's double weapon power, but we are seeing not a lot of armors coming out from the entirety of NEBULAE. Granted, Trophies have built an early Atlas Pauldron. Delphi has an Atlas Pauldron and going for a metal jacket, I hope. But lGRAND-FINALS only sitting on a light shield, if not that, on a light armor itself. And that is one thing maybe NEBULAE has considered. Maybe just ditch the spell sword. All in all, go for the Shatter Glass Clockwork if you want for the high burst, or rather it's high damage build, but there's a lot of gamble that you need to play as well.
Yeah, definitely a very risky build to go in with. Just be what they need to. I guess force aggression with aggression. We've seen it before. It definitely works out, and against a team like Infamous is tough as we see them go in with just so much damage. That gauntlet landing and they take out Truppies instantly. lGRAND-FINALS was forced back, and then they managed to find the kill onto Delphi, who just really can't run anywhere away from this team, and they're going to be able to take the turret. It's only lGRAND-FINALS. They're going to get the second one instantly, and they're going to shut down this game. 13 minutes, and I'd say, oh, depends how greedy they get here. Looks like it'll be 13 minutes, 37 in, is my guess. But no, Infamous still going for more. They tried to find Delphi as well, forcing them back into the base. And okay, it's going to be 13 minutes, 42, 3, 4 seconds.
There you go. But Spaghetti actually managed to take down lGRAND-FINALS just when lGRAND-FINALS went into the base. Spaghetti took one fountain tick but came out alive. I mean, just looking at his build, he has got a break